All right, let's just jump right into this, shall we? Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking something genuinely unique, the Humanity 2.0 brand book. You know, usually brand books are just about selling sneakers or hyping up the latest smartphone. But this is an actual literal blueprint for a global movement. We're going to decode this fascinating document together and see exactly how it engineers a massive cultural shift.
Right out of the gate, we get hit with the core promise of the brand. Underneath, we are all the same. And what's absolutely crucial to take away from this is how it beautifully sets up a universal, bridging message. It is not asking anyone to toss out their cultural roots, their religion, or their nationality. No way. Instead, it actually acknowledges those differences while piercing straight through to a shared foundational human truth. It's all about building a bridge over the divides that usually keep us separated.
So, what's the central tension driving this whole thing? Well, it's pretty wild when you think about it. On one hand, we've got this hyper-rapid technological advancement. We're literally sending rockets to Mars, we're building artificial intelligence. But on the other side, our shared humanity is lagging way behind, completely anchored down. The brand book makes this powerful argument that Humanity 2.0 isn't some software upgrade for our phones. It is an urgent, long overdue update for the human heart. To see exactly how they plan to roll this out, here is our roadmap for today. First, the human heart update. Then, the brand architecture, followed by the humanity code, designing the movement, and finally, the 30-day launch. Okay, section 1, the human heart update. This first section really acts as the grounded manifesto for the entire brand. I mean, look at this deliberate phrasing. We are not asking people to be identical. We are reminding them to be human. That is so powerful. It positions the brand perfectly for anyone who is just utterly exhausted by toxic social media feeds and constant societal division. It promises unity through shared human dignity, but without ever demanding that you abandon your personal identity, your flags, or your beliefs. It's a practical, real-world behavioral shift, not just some naive peace slogan. The brand book lays out the launch audience in 3 distinct target rings. The core relies heavily on the digitally active, creators and spiritual seekers who can organically spread the message like wildfire. Then it expands out to partners. Think educators, podcasters, therapists, people who actually need practical tools to facilitate healthier conversations in their daily work. And finally, the bridge audience shows how this messaging is engineered to step right into faith communities and intercultural groups to actively dial down the hostility. It's literally a highly strategic deployment of empathy.
Moving on to section 2, the brand architecture.
Now, a vision this massive could easily turn into chaos, right? So how do they organize it? Through a literal architectural blueprint. You can instantly grasp the flow of authority and purpose here. At the very top, you've got the founder, Nathan or Bensby, driving the vision and the personal story. Right below that is Bebeshuva, which acts as the deep philosophical and spiritual root system. But what we, the public, interact with on a daily basis is Humanity 2.0, the cultural front brand. And supporting all of that emotional connection is the music arm, Messiah Ben David Records. Everything has its specific intentional lane. Which brings us to the formal definition of the front brand itself. Humanity 2.0 is designed as a cultural and spiritual superbrand. It exists to take that initial vision, underneath we are all the same, and translate it into a universal language. The whole goal is to build an ecosystem where absolutely every piece of content, every song, and every educational tool pushes toward one specific outcome: less fear and hate, and more truth, compassion, and shared responsibility. All right, section 3, the humanity code. Because let's be real, grand philosophies only actually work when they translate into daily habits. These 5 steps form the absolute behavioral backbone of the movement. The brand book strictly mandates that every single campaign, song, or video they put out has to illustrate at least one of these principles: person before label, dignity before victory, truth without hate, faith without coercion, peace with responsibility. It's basically a brand new operating system for human interaction. Let's zoom in on that first principle for a second. Person before label. It asks us to just hit pause and discover who a person actually is and what their story is, before we automatically define them by whatever group they happen to belong to. Think about how this practically dismantles the knee-jerk, toxic way we usually argue on the internet. It forces you to see the individual first, rather than some easy caricature.
And then there's dignity before victory. I love this one because it isn't just about playing nice. It is a really courageous standard. It says that even in the middle of a fierce, highly passionate debate, you have to maintain the fundamental image of humanity. You don't resort to demonizing someone just to score points and win an argument. This proves the brand isn't asking for fake harmony. It's asking for a brave, grounded way of navigating real-world conflict.
Next up, Section 4, Designing the Movement.
So we have the why and the how. Let's check out the tangible what. Designing a movement of this scale starts with a highly intentional visual identity. You've got Midnight Navy anchoring the brand with authority, paired with Future Silver and Electric Blue to give it this very modern, tech-forward feel. But notice Humanity Gold and Humanity Warmth. The rulebook is incredibly strict here. Gold is only used for highlights, almost like a spark of hope. And the overarching rule for all imagery, it has to prioritize the human first, the world second, and technology third.
These strict design guidelines bleed right into the logo and typography as well. The logo gracefully merges an H, a human profile, and a futuristic circle. And crucially, there are 0 religious symbols allowed, which maintains its wide universal appeal. For typography, they pair the Hebrew font for Hebrew with Montserrat or Inner for English. Why? Because these fonts are clean, wide, and incredibly warm. Every single detail of the visual identity is engineered to feel accessible and modern. But a movement isn't just something you look at, it's something you experience and hear. The content system revolves around series like Before the Label to highlight real human stories, and the Heart Update for internal change. But what really stands out to me is their master sound. They specifically dictate a tempo of 100 BPM cinematic electronic pop with strong male vocals. The brand book explicitly tells producers no heavy rap, no fast dance music as the main sound. They want music that inspires and lifts you up, matching the heartbeat of a community walking forward together. And that brings us to Section 5, the 30-day launch. You've got all these incredible brand assets, but how do you drop them without sounding like just another corporate ad campaign? You do it through a highly structured, chronological rollout. They absolutely refuse to just drop a logo and hope for the best. Days 1 through 3 are purely about the manifesto, just planting the flag. Then they bring in the founder's story and the music. By week 2, it's all about real human stories. Week 3 is where philosophy turns into action, with daily challenges based on the Humanity Code. It's an entire funnel designed to prove, immediately, what this brand actually does in people's lives. The ultimate strategic goal of these 30 days is to walk the audience through 3 distinct phases. First is understanding, getting people to grasp the core concept of the Heart Update. Then comes identification, getting them to actually see themselves in those human stories. And finally, participation, where they change their own behavior through the challenges and actively step into the community. It's a beautifully engineered journey from passive scrolling to active, meaningful engagement. All of this builds up to one ultimate promise, which is perfectly captured in their supporting tagline: one humanity, one heart, one peace, one future. It's bold, it's rhythmic, and it completely synthesizes the entire brand book into a rallying cry that feels incredibly ambitious, but also deeply necessary for the exact moment we're living in. Which leaves us with the core question this whole movement rests on. The brand book explicitly states that the launch has to prompt the public with this very specific thought. So I'll leave you with it today as you digest everything we've just unpacked. In a world moving faster by the second, which part of the human heart is it time to upgrade? Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer. Keep asking the big questions.